You might think modern computers are so blazing fast that we don't even need to worry about code optimization anymore, right? That all this powerful hardware can just brute force its way through any sloppy code? Well, that's a really common and pretty dangerous assumption. We're going to dig into why, even in this age of incredible speed, performance actually matters more than ever.
So here's what we've got on tap for this explainer. First up, we're going to bust that myth that speed is a solved problem. Then we'll get into the right way to think about optimizing your code. After that, we'll lay out a complete performance roadmap, you'll see exactly who this is for, and finally, we'll cover how you can get started.
All right, let's kick things off with our first big idea, this really tempting but totally false notion that speed is basically a solved problem.
I mean, here's a wild thought. Are modern computers too fast? Think about it. Our machines are so ridiculously powerful now that we literally have to invent work for them, like making loops run millions of times, just to see if a code change made any difference. That raw power is what let us move from low-level stuff like assembler to much more productive, high-level languages like Delphi. But that incredible power, well, it's kind of hiding a trap.
And that trap? It's complacency. It's so easy to just assume that our apps will, run fast enough on their own. We start thinking of performance as an afterthought, something the hardware will just take care of. But here's the reality. Users can still feel the lag. Data processing still crawls along, and those unresponsive UIs, they still drive everyone nuts.
And that really brings us to the core theme of our source material. Performance matters. It's not some problem that hardware is just going to magically fix for us. No, it's a feature of your software. It hits everything, the user experience, how well your app scales, and even how much you're paying for servers. So if we can't just ignore it, how do we get it right?
This leads us to a completely different way of thinking about optimization, and it's probably not what you're expecting.
Just take a look at this comparison. The typical way people do it is reactive, right? They find a bottleneck and then they obsess over tweaking just a few lines of code. But the right way, it's proactive. It's about building performance right into the blueprint of your application from the very beginning.
And, let's not beat around the bush here. Focusing on those tiny little micro-optimizations isn't just a waste of time. The source material actually calls it the completely wrong approach. It's like spending all your time polishing the hubcaps on a car that has a busted engine. You're putting all your effort in totally the wrong place.
Okay, so what's the right philosophy then? It's not about ditching powerful high-level languages like Delphi. Not at all. Instead, it's about mastering the tool you already have. It means really, truly understanding what is fast and what is not inside the language itself, how strings work, how memory gets managed, which data structures are best for certain jobs, and using that knowledge when you're first designing your code.
Now, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually learn to do all that? Well, luckily for us, the source material lays out a really clear roadmap.
And wow, this roadmap is seriously comprehensive. It starts you off with the fundamentals, things like algorithm complexity and profiling your code. Then it gets into practical fixes, caching, and memory management. And from there, it's a deep dive into the parallel world. We're talking threads and tasks, and it even shows you how to hook up with external C++ code. It's the whole shebang.
To make this whole thing feel a bit less overwhelming, we can break it down into 3 main stages. First, you're going to master the fundamentals: profiling, algorithms, memory, all that good stuff. Then, you step into the parallel world to really harness the power of all those cores in modern CPUs. And finally, you get into some advanced integration and lock it all in with best practices.
So who is this actually for? Is this just for the super senior architects or those deep-in-the-weeds performance gurus?
No way. And that's what's so great about this. It's really for all Delphi programmers. It doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you're a seasoned old soul, there's something in here for you. The material scales perfectly, covering the basics like strings and lists all the way up to really advanced topics like parallel programming and memory manager internals.
All right, so let's say you're on board. You get it. Performance is crucial, and you're ready to jump in. What do you actually need to get started?
Honestly, the requirements are pretty simple. You just need to be comfortable finding your way around the Delphi IDE. Now, Delphi 11.3 is what's recommended, but don't worry, most of the examples will work on older versions too. You'll only need to fire up Microsoft Visual Studio for one very specific chapter. And the best part? All the code examples are just sitting there on GitHub, totally free for you to download and play with.
So, as we wrap things up here, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Now that we've busted the myth of modern speed and talked about a better design philosophy,
Take a hard look at your own projects. What's one assumption you've been making about performance that maybe, just maybe, you need to rethink?